So I traveled to Göttingen specifically to study mathematicians Hilbert and Gauss. There are so many mathematicians and physicists associated with Göttingen that I'm making a video about the city itself first, instead of focusing on one specific mathematician as yet. Göttingen has a long history. In medieval times, it was a member of the Hanseatic League. As well as being a city rich in history, it is a city rich with culture, beauty, and scholarship. One of the best-loved landmarks in the city is the Goose Girl, or Ganzeliesel, which stands in front of the medieval town hall. Students who finish a doctorate at the University of Göttingen climb this fountain and kiss the statue, some leave flowers as well. Göttingen has been a center for math and physics, is quite proud of that heritage, and rightly so. One way the city honors its mathematicians and scientists is in the naming of the roads. Here is a sampling of this tradition. The city's public research university was established in the 1730s during the Enlightenment era. More than 40 Nobel Prize winners have been affiliated with the University of Göttingen. A university observatory was built in the early 1800s, with Carl Friedrich Gauss as its first director. Gauss lived in the observatory from 1815 to his death in 1855, and there have been other prominent directors as well, such as Wilhelm Weber, Peter Dirichlet, and Karl Schwarzschild. Another building important in the history of math and physics in Göttingen is the Mathematical Institute. This came into being in order to give the mathematics department its own space. I'll share more about this building later. The town also boasts a planetway, which is a 1 to 2 billion scale model of the solar system. Here we see Erde, which is Earth. Göttingen's pride in its many illustrious residents and visitors extends not only to street names, but also to plaques on houses where prominent people resided, either at length or just for a short time. People such as the Brothers Grimm, Benjamin Franklin, and Johannes Brahms. Mathematicians so honored include Clebsch, Neerte, Klein, Courant, von Neumann, Hilbert, who lived in this house for over 40 years, and Hilbert's friend Minkowski, just a couple of blocks away. A wonderful way to see the city is by walking along its wall promenade. There's also a body of water near the wall that was once part of a moat. Next to this body of water is Cheltenham Park, which contains the old St. Albani or St. Albans Cemetery, the resting place of Carl Friedrich Gauss. Another cemetery just a bit outside the town center and to the north is the resting place of mathematician Alfred Clebsch. But if you really want to pay homage to many famous mathematicians and scientists, the place to go is the city cemetery, the Stadt Friedhof, just a bit to the west of the town center. It's not only beautiful, but is also the most peaceful cemetery I have ever visited. It's also very interesting. Many tombstones, especially of the physicists, are engraved with equations that illustrate their work. Hilbert's grave is one I particularly wanted to see and is the main reason I visited here. Rather than an equation, his tombstone is engraved with a statement for which he is well known. Wir müssen wissen, wir werden wissen. In English, we must know, we will know. The Stadt Friedhof also contains what is known as the Nobel Rondel, a circle of plaques memorializing its Nobel laureates. How many cemeteries have you come across in which 8 Nobel Prize winners are laid to rest? Near the rondel is a beautiful pond with truly lovely flora and fauna. short walk back into town takes us back to the Mathematical Institute. I could have made a whole video just on this building, its history, and its contents. You can't tell from the front, but if you go around to the back, you'll find that the building is in the shape of a T. It's here in the grassy area just outside the building that the term quantum mechanics was first coined, when Max Born, Werner Heisenberg, and Wolfgang Pauli were conversing here together. I don't normally throw selfies into the middle of my videos, but I found it pretty overwhelming to be standing on this spot. Back to the front, and through the front doors, we find a student study area. And there are students here studying, seemingly overseen by a mascot in the center. If you look closely, you'll notice that it's David Hilbert, whom the students have lovingly or jokingly accessorized. Just up the stairs is a museum of mathematical models. The oldest objects here are paper models of polyhedra, made by a teacher of Carl Friedrich Gauss. These models date back to 1780, which is more than 240 years ago as of the time of the making of this video. That's nearly a quarter of a millennia ago. Another model is a Riemann surface. Also displayed are tools for studying properties of soap bubbles. I believe these were made and used by Jacob Steiner. The idea for this institute came from Felix Klein, though he did not live to see it built. In the institute's museum are Klein bottles, as well there should be, but these do not date back to Klein himself. They were given to the museum by a visitor who had been surprised not to have seen Klein bottles on display. And we have Mobius strips, and many, many other mathematical models and calculating devices. This museum is at the front of the building on the second floor, but it's not the entirety of the second floor, some of which is also taken up by faculty offices. This professor certainly has a sense of humor, posting a comic outside his office, as well as having the same inscription over his office door as was at the entrance of Plato's Academy: "Let no one ignorant of geometry enter here." There's also a bulletin board nearby which advertises, among other things, gaming opportunities. Also, along the hallways on the second floor are images of prominent Göttingen mathematicians: Gauss, Dirichlet, Riemann, Klein, Clipchamp, Hilbert, Minkowski, Netta, Kaluza, Courant, Siegel. That is quite a lineup. Each picture is accompanied by a short biography and information about the person's work. Heading back outside and nearer the town center, we find a monument to Gauss and Weber, and further along near the observatory, we find a monument to their work on electromagnetic communications. It seems that everywhere you look, you are surrounded by the history of math and science. But it's possible to get away from this a bit too if desired. A short walk out of town to the east takes you to the Schillerwiesen Park and on toward a large forested area with hiking trails. Again, very beautiful and very peaceful. A little further from town, about 10 miles north, you'll find Plessa Castle, which is a definite highlight in the area, and which I'll share about in a future video when I cover David Hilbert. Plessa Castle has a long history and great views. No matter what you choose to do in and around the city, Göttingen definitely shines.